Welcome to the Web Hosting Cat Podcast, brought to you by webhostingcat.com. Here's your host, Michael James.
Welcome to the program, everyone. On this edition of the podcast, we have a very special guest, so let's get right to it. When it comes to search engine optimization, everyone wants to know what works and what doesn't work with Google to get better search engine rankings. Well, we've got the answers right here. Gary Illyes is Google's Webmaster Trends Analyst, working to create a better search engine experience for users. As someone who actually works on the search algorithms at Google, Gary is the ideal person to ask about the current SEO landscape. Gary recently presented one of the major keynote addresses at PubCon 2015, and I was fortunate enough to get an exclusive interview with him. He provided some very interesting and sometimes surprising information about what works and doesn't work in the search engines. Gary, hi. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me.
As Google's Webmaster Trends Analyst, what would your number one piece of advice be, or your top tip for website owners to get their sites to rank higher in the search engine?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I think in general we want content creators to focus on just one thing, and that would be the user. That's what we do, and that's what they should do as well. It's really not about making money. If your number one priority is to make money, then you are probably doing it wrong. You have to figure out how to help the user, and then the money will also follow.
Mm-hmm. In terms of website content, is there an ideal length that a post or an article should be to rank well in the search engines?
Not really. You can see content of different lengths in our search results. Some of them are ranking really high, even though they are just like 3 sentences. Some of them are really long articles. It really doesn't matter. It kind of matters on what users demand, what satisfies their information needs. So, for example, if a one-liner can satisfy their information need for a specific query, that will perform really great in search results.
Now, I wanted to also ask you about SSL.
Yeah.
Does SSL really give you a boost in search engine rankings? And do you recommend that, say, huge, well-established websites convert to HTTPS?
So there is definitely a boost. I developed that algorithm, and I know that there is a boost. It is active, and it works. It's online in the search results, so it works 100% of the time. Whether big sites should switch, I would say definitely yes, because it gives the user the impression that the site cares about their privacy. That's one thing. The other thing is that I'm staying in a hotel that provides free Wi-Fi, and I visit sites that may not have ads. They are non-profits. They cannot have ads, and the Wi-Fi provider injects ads into the content. One of the sites that I visit often is NGOs, and today, just this morning, I got porn ads. That's unacceptable to me, and probably the NGO wouldn't be happy about it either. So with SSL, actually it's TLS nowadays. With TLS, you can avoid that, avoid content injection. What you want to serve will show up in the user's browser as well.
Great. Now, I also wanted to ask you about social media.
Yeah.
How important is social media popularity when it comes to search engine rankings?
Not at all. We don't use social signals in our ranking, to the best of my knowledge. There's a very good reason for that. It's because one is it's very noisy. The second one is that as soon as the social site or the social media platform decides that we shouldn't have access to their content, we are one signal less, and we just can't do that. We have to be able to gather signals all the time. It has to be consistent. Now, how important it is for your rankings in general, it's not for the rankings, it's more about content distribution. So, for example, if you can convince, let's say, an influencer to share your content, then you will get more visitors. And that's it.
Gotcha. Now, what are the best ways to protect yourself against negative SEO affecting your search engine rankings? Do you recommend that website owners use the disavow tool?
That's an interesting question. So, quite frankly, I looked into probably a couple dozen cases where people were reporting negative SEO, and none of them was actually negative SEO. I personally don't have evidence that would support that negative SEO exists. Disavow files are great to give you a peace of mind. So, for example, if you see lots of links that you don't want, let's say for whatever reason you don't like foreign site links, then you can get rid of those links easily with a disavow tool. But then on the flip side of the coin, you can also shoot yourself in the foot with a disavow file. Because if you are disavowing links that are high value, high quality, and they have high value, then they won't contribute to your rankings, to your page ranks.
Now, another thing I wanted to ask you is, with all of the new domain name extensions that are out, I mean, nowadays there's, whether it's .photography, .guru, what have you. Do any of these, or will any of these have an impact on search engine results in the future? Or would you say someone should just, website owners should just stick with the old .com name?
That's an excellent question again. In general, we don't give any preference to the generic top level domain names. So, for example, if you go with .photography, sure, go ahead and do it. You won't get any more benefits than you would get with .com.
Gotcha. Listen, I know you're busy and you got to run. I wanted to ask you one more thing. In terms of video, video is very big now.
Yeah.
Are there any optimization tips that you can give for people? Or the reason I'm asking is I have noticed in my videos sometimes there's a difference in search engine rankings between, say, Google Video and YouTube.
Yeah. So Google Video is very different or Google Video search is very different from YouTube search. They are two different search engines. You could say that a YouTube search is another search engine if you wish. Google Video in general takes into account what webmasters and content owners provide on page and in sitemaps. YouTube, I have no idea. I don't work on YouTube. But for example, for Google Video, if you provide a schema org video on your pages, basically telling search engines on the page what the video is about, the length, content distribution restrictions, and such stuff, then search engines will make use of it. Same for XML sitemaps.
All right, sounds good. Well, Gary, I really appreciate you spending some time with us, and thanks for joining us.
You're very welcome, and thank you for inviting me.
And big thanks again to Gary for joining us for the interview. Some really great stuff there. That's going to do it for this edition of the podcast. You can view the printed version of my interview with Gary on our website at webhostingcat.com. And until next time, this is Michael James wishing you all the best with your website endeavors. Thanks for listening and take care.
You've been listening to the Web Hosting Cat podcast, sponsored by webhostingcat.com. The preceding program is copyrighted 2015 by TuxCat Media.